Hello everybody, this is Dr. Novak. In this video I'm going to be talking about how to make the Fluval 3.0 light higher up off the aquarium. Um, I went on the internet and I thought, well, I'll just Google in, is there a lift kit for the Fluval 3.0 light? Because it sits directly on top of the aquarium practically, because that's the way they made it. And all the Fluval makes is hangers that you got to hang from the ceiling to lift the light up off the aquarium. If you want it, let's say 5, 6 inches, 8 inches off the aquarium, the Fluval light. And after I looked it up, and then I went to a forum, and they're talking about how people are trying to modify the Fluval 3.0 light, that there really is no kit if you just want to lift it, let's say 6 inches off the aquarium. Because of the way the light works, it comes in a pyramid shape, but if it's too close to the tank, you're going to have dark spots. And they want to lift it up a little bit because maybe they don't need the intensity, or maybe they want to eliminate the dark spots in the tank. So this is what this video is about, how to make a lift kit yourself for the Fluval 3.0, and that's coming up next. The first thing you're going to want to do is go to your local hardware store and go over to the flat stock rack. All hardware stores have one of these racks, and what I'm using is aluminum, and this is 3 foot by 1.5, or you can get 3 foot by 2 inch. Either one will work. This is from Lowe's, and this is their flat stock rack. And as you can see, this is 1/8 by 1.5 inches, and it's a 3 foot piece. They're not that expensive. Also, Home Depot sells their flat stock aluminum too. Like I said, 1.5, 2 inches fits the Fluval just fine, the Fluval lights. It fits all the Fluval 3.0 lights. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what you're going to need, and you can make your own riser for the light. And that was one thing that I had found out, is that people want to raise their Fluval lights because they sit so close to the aquarium, and cosmetically you want it to look nice. You don't want it to look cheesy and cheap. And the people that were doing it, raising their lights, they were jury rigging the products that they were buying with cable ties and stuff like that to make it work. Look kind of cheap and chintzy. But doing this, what I'm going to show you in this video, is going to look nice, it's going to look professional, it's going to look like you bought it, and the more time you put into it, and the better off you make it look, the nicer it's going to look on your aquarium. The first thing you're going to need your supply. You're going to need masking tape. You're going to need this double back tape, which is the Scott's or 3M tape. They sell it in different widths and strength. This one is more than strong enough. You got your bar stock there, and of course the paint. If you want to paint it, if you want to sand it, that's going to be your choice. But this is basically all you'll be buying. Most people have the tape on hand, so basically if you have the paint and tape on hand, it's not going to cost you much, less than 20 bucks, and a little bit of labor. The double back tape I bought is Scott's tape, which is made by 3M. 3M makes other tapes that are double-sided, like for automobiles or something. Depending on how strong you want to hold it to your aquarium, if you need something quite that strong, you can go to auto parts store and buy 3M tape that is very, very strong, like permanent. But this tape will be good enough to hold the light up. The 3.0 lights aren't very heavy at all. So this is the tape I bought, and this was bought at Home Depot. This is the paint I bought. You can buy any paint that will stick to metal. But this particular one already has the primer and paint in one. You don't have to use Rust-Oleum, use the brand you like. I'm painting it black because of the goldfish tank has the black rim and I want it to kind of match. But if you were going to do, let's say, an all glass aquarium, maybe you would just want to sand and polish, or sand and then fine sand it to give it a matte finish and spray it with a lacquer. And that's entirely up to you on how you're going to make the brackets. How long you want it. This bar stock is strong enough where if you want it to be 12 inches above the aquarium, 6 inches above the aquarium, 3 inches above the aquarium, just make sure you measure it and leave a little extra stock because of you're going to be using a hacksaw to cut it. Or you can use a cutoff wheel if you have one. There's all, it's just aluminum, so it's soft. So anyhow, on this, I'm going to make it about 3.5 inches long. Okay, so you got about 5.5 inches long. I decided to make it. I tried out an inch above the tank. It was okay, but no, this is more suitable for what I'm using it for. And I'm using the two ends of the bar stock because they're going to be pretty square. You may have to do a little bit of filing with a file to get it square, but you can use a square to square them up after you file it. I just used a hacksaw to cut the lengths I wanted and made the two pieces. And then all you have to do once they're both cut is you'll put both of them together, one on top of the other, marry them together, and then you'll need a vise or clamps or something to hold them together so you can square them up. Okay, I left enough stock so I could square them up. I just used a square and I used a file and just filed the end and make sure it's square. You don't have to be absolutely perfect, okay, but it's square enough the way it is. And this I just used a file because aluminum is soft. It's easy to file down to get it square. As you can see, both pieces are together. You don't do them separately. Put them together, clamp them together, or put them in a vise, and then you file them down together. That way they both will be the exact length. And of course, get them as square as you can. But like I said, you don't have to get anal over it. Try to get them as good as you can. And this is what I did. This takes you the longest part because trying to file it down because your hacksaw is not going to make that great of a finish once it's done sawing the two pieces that you need. Okay, as you can see here, both pieces have been sawed and trimmed down and they're square. Now all I'm going to do is be sanding them down, giving them a rough finish because I'm going to be painting them. But they're just, you can cosmetically make them look any way you want. You don't have to paint them. You can just keep sanding them, make them that way if you want. So here they are finished being sanded. Like I said, if you had a finer sandpaper, you can even make them look shinier if you don't wish to paint them. Since I'm going to paint them, I do want a rough finish on them so the paint will adhere to the metal. But there is something else I'm going to do because I'm going to paint them. I don't want the paint to be 100% on the bar stock. So therefore I put tape and I measured how much I need exposed of the metal. So when I put the 3M double-sided tape on them, I want that tape to stick directly to the metal. I don't want that tape to stick to paint because paint is only, maybe a thousandths thick or something like that. So I want it to stick to the metal, so I clean the metal and then I put tape over the metal, and that way when I spray it, I could just pull the tape off and I'll have exposed metal. Okay, so if you've been watching the video so far, you've seen all the tools you're going to need and everything else. So the plates have a piece of tape on them, and the reason I put the tape on them is so when you put the adhesive strips on them, it's not going to stick to paint. It's actually going to stick to the metal aluminum itself. And as we know that after painting, everything's dry. All you have to do is pull off the tape, like so. And now I've already sanded the metal so it does have a rougher surface. And now we can apply the adhesive sticks, which I bought. So these are going to be a little under 5.5 inches because that's what I want to raise the light. And this part's going to have the tape on it. And this is going to connect up to the aquarium. And I'll show you then how your Fluval 3.0 can be raised up off the tank, because that spectrum of light then will, instead of having that pyramid and having dark spots, it'll actually raise it so the pyramid then is at the very top of the tank. And then of course the light will bounce off the glass inside the tank. A lot of people would like to raise their 3.0 lights, but they don't know how. So right now I want to tell you, making these, if you've watched everything that I've done, really it's quite simple. I would say don't let it intimidate you. It's really quite easy. In fact, if you were at a machine shop or something, this is something that you would give to an apprentice. So don't be intimidated from it, as you saw in my until we got to this point. It's really not that hard, just a matter of a hacksaw. You could clamp it, use a vise. So now we're going to apply the adhesive sticks to it. And then I'm going to show you how you apply it to a tank. Now the good thing about this is good for a tank that has a black rim around it, because that was one of the things I saw on the forum, that someone complained that all the solutions they were given for rimless aquariums, not aquariums that had a rim around it. How do you raise the light? And one person complained that, well, how do we do it with the people who have rim around? Well, this could be used for a rimless or a rim tank, making this lift kit. And you can make it any size you want, of course. This is 5.5 inches. You can make it 6 inches, 8 inches, whatever you want to make your light. You can add 1 or you can add 2 to add more lighting. So you don't have to buy a brand new light, because they're kind of expensive. So this is an easy and fast way to make the light lift up off the aquarium water. So right now I'm going to get to putting the adhesive on, and then I'm going to show you how that's done. Okay, as you can see here, I put the 3M stick, these clear mount, and just make sure it's on there good. Now you can buy these at the hardware store, but they also have a one that's even stronger bound, or you can go to an auto parts store. They have the same thing there. I think these will be good enough. So I put it onto the metal. Just make sure it's very well stuck onto it. Get yourself an X-Acto knife and then just cut off the excess. There. Make sure you have a sharp knife, and there you have it. So now I'll do this to both of them, and this is what's going to be stuck on to the tank, this adhesive. These should hold at least 2 pounds of weight, and the light doesn't weigh probably more than a pound or 2. So these legs will be more than enough. So the first thing I did is I measured the tank. I came up with half the distance. I put a little mark on the tank where I know is half the distance because that's where I want to put the light. So now since I know where I want to put the light, this is the 3.0 light, and I want the light to be up higher like this instead of down like this. A lot of people are saying they want their light, and you can notice a difference that this part of the tank and this part are dark. So if you can lift this light up, now it lights up the whole top of the tank, and it doesn't have to be as bright at the bottom. Plus the fact the light will be here instead of down here. So that's why we're adding these aluminum pieces onto the aquarium. Put the light off to the side. Now I added this piece of wood here, and this is only for stability. So when I put this here, I know where center is. This will help keep it straight. And if I put a leveler on there, I can make sure this is level. So the light is level. And this piece of wood will help me to make sure it gets put in the right location. And the adhesive that I made is a little bit less than this, just a little bit. So once it's stuck on there, you see? So now this will lift the light up, and I'll show you that when I'm all done with it. Now since I have the bracket, I know the center line of the bracket. I have a mark on the aquarium where the center is. It's all nice and squared because this now is sitting on the plastic. Beautiful, nice and square. Now I can remove this, put this over here, and I'll put this one over here. And let that sit. So you clamp it down, let that sit for a few minutes. Okay, the first riser now is in place. And if you can see what's going to happen is the light's going to fit like this. Because the Fluval light has a groove inside here. Okay, and that groove will fit perfect. So you can literally make this any length you want. But this is good enough for what I'm doing because now the light comes out and makes it even. Because it comes in a triangle. So this, you can also use this for glass aquarium. It's exact same thing. It's a plastic glass, and this adhesive will hold it real good. And of course, you can paint these any color you want, or you can leave them aluminum and just polish it, or you can give it a matte finish by using a fine sandpaper and give it a nice matte finish and then spray it with like a lacquer or something. If you have it like an all glass aquarium. But since this one has an edge on it, that's not going to go nowhere. This is not heavy enough to make it go anywhere. So anyhow, that one's done. Now I'm going to get the other side done. And remember though, you can make this any length you want. You want it shorter. I already experimented with shorter ones, and they were about 1 inch higher. And this is about little over 5 inches. And I found out that this is good enough. This is the height I want. So anyhow, let me get the other side, then I'll show you what it looks like completed. Okay, so here it is completely finished, as you can see. It fits perfect. The Fluval 3.0. See how it fits into the groove? The light can't weigh more than a couple pounds, but you can see just the way it fits. It's not going to slide off. Now, the bar stock that you have, the bar stock that's here, comes in 1.5 inch, 2 inch. This is 2-inch bar stock. As you can see, now it lights up the tank all the way to the edge. And now I can get underneath it. I don't need to have that light that close to the aquarium. Plus it lights up the lily pads. And it cosmetically looks nice. It doesn't look out of place. It almost looks like you bought it. I don't know why Fluval doesn't make brackets like this, but you can make them any size you want, as you can see. Okay, this is one of those projects, raising the light above the aquarium. It should really not intimidate you. You just go buy yourself some bar stock. That's what this is called, bar stock. And I think it's 3 foot long. You buy them at Home Depot. You buy them at Lowe's. Any one of the hardware stores will sell it, this aluminum bar stock. It's 1/8 thick, so it's very strong. So even if you had this, 12 inches high, it's still strong enough it's going to hold it. And the tape is definitely going to be strong enough to hold a light, whether you have a 3-foot tank or whether you have a 4-foot tank or whatever. It will be more than enough. The project itself, 1.5 hours. If you would have a machine shop, it would take you only minutes to cut it and machine it square. Basically, the part that took the longest was making sure, because I used a file to make sure that after it was cut, I had to file both pieces together to make sure they're both the same height. And that took the longest, the filing to make sure it was square again. Other than that, though, it was a pretty easy project. Paint it, and it will work for, as you can see with the goldfish tank, it does raise the light up, but I don't need all that real bright light coming down to the bottom of the aquarium here. The aquarium itself is doing great. The lights are on for 15 hours a day. I'm trying to grow algae. The algae is growing, but I'm going to say it's growing, but it's nothing to complain about. But it really isn't growing as fast as I'd like it to grow, and that's understandable. What is growing is the plant. The plants are actually taking off like crazy, even though there's no CO2. And I do have some beard algae growing, because remember, the light's on for 15 hours a day. It's on full spectrum, full blue, full red, full white, off-white. Everything's at 100%, and 15 hours a day. So you would expect that you're going to get some algae problems or beard algae. But I'm getting a little bit of, I could see some beard algae, but I'm not worried about that, because the goldfish constantly are munching on the algae, munching on the plants. So as far as lighting goes, the lighting's just fine, but I definitely wanted the light to be higher than sitting directly on top of the aquarium like it was. You can get on, and now I can get my hands in there, plus the fact as the lilies grow, and hopefully if they flower, there'll be plenty of room for the flowers to come out and without the lighting. And I don't need that intense lighting here at the bottom of the aquarium at all. So this is a nice little project. Like I said, about 1.5 hours to do the project. I know some people may be watching this thinking, that looks like a lot of work, or they may be intimidated, of cutting this with a hacksaw and getting a file and stuff. let me tell you something. Don't be intimidated. Really, this is if you were in a shop, tool and die shop, or a mold shop, or something, and this is work that an apprentice would do. In fact, in order to do work easier than this, you'd have to be sweeping the floor. I mean, really, don't be intimidated from it. Don't be intimidated to take a little bit of a challenge if you think, I don't think I can do this. It's not that hard. It just takes a little bit of time if you haven't done it. But because there is no tight tolerances to hold, you can, let's say if you want 6 inches, you make it 6.5 inches. So when you do your cutting, and by the time you do your filing to make sure everything's square, using it square, you will get 6 inches, maybe a little bit above. No big deal, because there is no tight tolerances. So, and then you just sand it down to, to give it a rough surface so you can put your paint on, and just follow the directions I said. It really isn't something you should be scared of trying. And materials, you probably have maybe $20 or less in materials for the tape and for the bar stock here. As long as you have the hacksaw and things like that, usually people have sandpaper already. You got less than 20 bucks of materials and an hour and a half worth of work. Like I said, the biggest part of this whole thing was I used the squared off ends, make sure it was square. And the biggest thing was putting the two pieces together and filing the two pieces square. And so they were the exact same size. Otherwise, the rest of the stuff that I showed you, that's all a piece of cake. Nothing even to get a sweat over. But now since the product is done, it looks professional. It's something that I saw on the forums. Since they don't sell something, make it yourself. And like I said, if you use an all glass aquarium, do the same thing. And if you say, well, I don't want to paint it, fine. Sand it down, polish it, because aluminum's easy to polish. It's a soft metal. Or you can sand it down, fine sand it, and give it a matte finish if you want when you're all done. And then, like I said, spray it with a lacquer or something like that so it doesn't, water spots don't get on it. And do the exact same thing with the glass aquarium. So this solves the problem for plastic around the edge, or if you have a glass aquarium and you want to raise the Fluval light instead of buying a whole new light. This is an easy way of fixing that problem. Okay, so that's it for this video. Until next time, this is Dr. Novak. Happy fish keeping.